One of the things that I'm starting to realize as I make my first larger game is that even though you've spent 10 years learning how to code, a bunch of years learning how to do 3D, a bunch more doing pixel art, there's one thing that a game needs to have, otherwise it's not really a game, and that is it needs content. It needs to have something for you to play. It can't just be a room with enemies that you shoot at. So we've made all these systems and we have them all in place, but we still need to put them together to create content for the player to actually move through and actually play the game. Otherwise, it's just a sandbox, and that's not what we're going for. In my game, I want to make sure that there's room for player expression, even if it is just a little bit, to be able to find and equip things that you can use to slightly alter the way that you play. We've got a basic attack, but on top of that, we're also going to have mods that can alter movement abilities, and in the last few weeks, we've been working on adding secondary abilities that the player can use, like a massive barrage of missiles or a huge laser. Now, I've got all the systems in place, but there's one big problem. We need to make the abilities, and we need to make the mods, and I also need to make levels, obviously, and draw everything, instead of just using a few frames from my damage animation. So our next goal really is to build out the levels. We need to do some additional animations and maybe add one or two more abilities. We also need to make a path from the start of the game to the first boss, so we can really start to get a feel for how this game works as a Metroidvania, rather than just a room with a few enemies. Then I should be able to have something that I can put together for you to play and tell me if it even is any good as a Metroidvania. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're streaming development on Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, 6 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully, I will see you there. Welcome. It is Saturday, 6:30 AM. We are here, and we've got some work to do. So we've fixed up our elevators. Now they're great. We don't have to think about them ever again, in theory. But now, right before we were doing that, I was like, I probably need to make this first boss like better, so that, you know, it actually has like decent impact. But it, you know, the problem with the first boss is that it was the first boss. So, you know, it's not the best in terms of the way that it's been structured. So we're going to have a look at that today. And where is the scene? That is the question. I think it's called security drone. Right? Pretty basic. Nothing too complicated. Where's the game start? Actually, location. Grab that. If I can't even see it on screen. There it is. Think of all the monsters being the same structure. It's just a boss is overpowered. You can save 2 sets of similar code. Exactly. Exactly. So that's already true. I'm pretty sure old mate tank drone thingo is just technically an enemy. It is just extends enemy, right? So it does kind of the same stuff. The difference being it has a more complex state machine, which means it needs more complex instructions on how to do that. Because an enemy can be as complicated as a boss or as simple as a crawler, which doesn't even have a state machine. It just goes left and right. You know what I mean? So how do we build up to that? Right now, all of that instruction is in the idle state. I don't know if that's the right spot for it. In the last boss that I did, I actually had an additional component, essentially, that was controlling the state machine. So the walrus, I think it's called, I don't know, Craze Tusk. Here it is here. Come with me, we'll discover a Cajun popcorn shrimp in the Forbidden Isles at Woolworths. That sounds so gross. I'm sorry. A Cajun popcorn shrimp? Dude. I don't even like shrimp to begin with. I'm not a big fan of seafood, to be honest, but in fact, I tell people I'm allergic when I'm not. But yeah, so the boss encounter here is Craze Task, right? And he's actually got a separate component here, which controls like the parameters in which he does things, right? But yeah, I mean, can this be componented? Can this be turned into a component? Because, you know, it'd be nice if we can sort of create a framework around how these bosses work, right? Because it's once again, it's just a boss enemy, and that's fine when it comes to like how it sort of is sort of working. But yeah, in terms of how it decides what to do, is something I haven't really done yet. I haven't decided on a method, and I think I need to do that to make it easy for me to make these, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's just a big enemy. Like what's different about it? In fact, nothing. It has all the same components. Just takes more damage and does more stuff. So I like this AI. I think if we turn this into like a base set of functions, then we'd be good to go. So normally how it's worked is essentially that we've and then we can use this. Maybe we should like rename this rather than boss AI. We can say enemy AI, because we can use this. Ooh, a notification. Guess I'm signed into Facebook Messenger. We can use this to like with enemies that do require more intelligent movement, because there are some, right? Like if we go and look at the flying enemy, I don't even know what it's called. Air enemy. Okay, that's pretty basic. It does actually have like a more complex moveset than some of the other enemies. It's got, you know, it's got a state machine. But I think as far as like it detects the enemy and it either chases or attacks once it's like once it sees the enemy, it just goes into this loop where after an attack, it goes into the evade state. So it's just like a more basic pattern of repetition, right? So, and it does an evasion, and once it's finished, it goes into the idle, and once it's in idle, if it's not close enough, it'll chase you, otherwise it's going to attack you. Like, it's not super complicated in its like decision making. It's just like, am I close enough to do an attack? I'm gonna do attack. Did I just do an attack? I'm gonna move a little bit. You know? But this boss has 3 attacks. Which one should it do? You know? Actually has 4 moves. So deciding which one to do is like, you know, something it has to decide on. And right now that's here in the idle, and I don't like that. So yeah. What code is this? Extends ground motion. Oh, this is still idle. So what I think is, yeah, we need to turn this AI node into something that could be used. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna grab this. I think we need to strip this back to its even more basic sets of variables and stuff if it's going to be a class that could be reused. We need to like make it even more basic. Does it need to be a node, or does it need to be a node 2D? I think node 2D, because it probably does. Is it ever getting like, it's calculating? Is it raycasting? Like, could it be just a node? Could it be a parent of a state machine? Like a state controller, because like the state controller for it, for a for the like the player is the player, like it's the keyboard or whatever, but like the AI doesn't have that, so it doesn't know what to do. So it does need, I guess we call it a state controller. And yeah, we strip this back so that it's not actually just dedicated for one particular enemy, so that we have like, you know, check direction as just a blank slate. You know what I mean? We just add on a bunch of different things. So we could like see in terms of like choose an action like this as a function. You know, we're just like looking at the stack of states. So basically how this works is like it just takes the states and it puts them into an array. Actually, it's a dictionary, and it gives them a score based on like parameters essentially, and then just chooses the one that's on top. So it's not like super great, but yeah, we'll start probably there. Let's create a new node. Is it a node? Probably a node. And we call it a state controller. Scenes. This will live in the enemies, right? Okay. Is that spelled? I feel like I got some extra letters in there. Oh, okay. Just crazy. So it's gonna take a state machine, right? And then there'll be a variable, like not too dissimilar from this script here. The bus AI, there's going to be like a dictionary here. This I did manually. So like we can't do that. Like this is not how we want to do it. But we do want a state stack, and we probably do want to get like enemy, boss enemy, yada yada yada. What do we do with that? Is that just so we can give instructions? We'll just emit signals instead. It's a dictionary, and it's got a state and a float, because it's the score, basically. Right, and so like in the ready function, we will get that. Actually, Girik, welcome. How are you? So we'll initialize. You are fine. What is this little translate icon? Oh, how are you? Dude, what the hell? Look at this. How's it? It's. Why is it doing that to me? Is there like an auto translate button to turn off? I wonder if that's like the settings of like how I run my chat. I don't even know. I'm doing okay. We're trying to get a little state controller going for the I mean, I don't really need to pass that. Do I need to pass it in? I don't really need to pass it in. Yeah, we're trying to create like a state controller for the enemies and the bosses so that we can, you know, have something that we can create controllers without having to do like bespoke coding for, because that's what I've done the last 2 times. And I think that's kind of annoying when it comes to like, you want to have something that's like giving us a lot of control while also giving us the ability to have a standard. Can you make a straight controller for Texas? Unfortunately, that was, I can't even control my own state. You know what I'm saying? Texas. I've never been to America, eh? And I'm not going now. It's kind of funny. When I was like younger, I went to China because I was like, and the joke was, oh, you know, I better go now because like in 15 years, it's all going to go to shit and I'm not going to be able to go there. And it's like, actually, should have gone to America because you ain't going to be able to go there now. For I in state machine, the state machine dot states state map, and then we can say state stack. Well, is it dot keys? I want to go to China, just so curious what my neighbor is up to. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's very, I mean, I went there in 2014, so it was a bit different. Like, you know, it like going to all these other cities, like I just went to Beijing, Xi'an, and Shanghai. And it's like, that's not, people don't even go to those places anymore. You know what I mean? They're going to Guangdong or whatever. Chongqing. I don't know how to pronounce it. State map. What does a state map look like? It's a dictionary. Oh, I haven't even typed it. Dude, what the hell? Add state. Even Steven, what's going on? Change state. Wait, what does initialize look like? Current state. Create state map. Here we go. It's the name of the state. Okay. So if I'm looping through the dictionary, I always get confused with dictionaries. I'm looping through the keys. No? Or am I looping through the actual values? I don't even know. Also, I think I'm looping through the values. So you go like state stack dot I dot, or state machine dot I, or state machine square bracket I equals 0, something like that. And this is a string. Okay, so just as a starting point, what's it mad at me for? It's not. Okay, so if we go back to, let's try to do this on drone, right? So if we add a state controller, it's just what it's called, state controller. I loop dictionaries in Python. It's a bit, I don't think it's, I've had to do other than iterating dict.keys. Yeah. I always thought if you loop through a dictionary, you'd loop through the the actual values, not the keys. Otherwise, what's the point of dot keys? Okay, so structurally, if we're going to call on this, we actually have to be above it, which means when we call ready, the state map isn't going to exist. So in the state machine, we probably need a signal, just called state map created. And we emit the state map. The dictionary. Right? So because of the structure of this, we need the state controller to be calling down to the state machine fairly often, like when you want to change states and stuff like that. So it makes sense to be above it, but that also means that when we actually start and create the state map, we need to actually emit a signal rather than. So when we create the state map, once it's done, state map created.emit state map. And then we can emit that to, and we'll call it on state map created, and we receive a state map. That's not a thing. State map dictionary. It's not typed, so I won't type it here, otherwise you end up with problems. And then you can call initialize. What you do, yes. What you do is you go initialize, and this does need to go through the state machine. So we get a state map. So do we even need access? Yeah, we do need access to the state machine because obviously we have to call functions on it, dictionary. Okay, so then we pass that on, and that will like work in theory. State map. State map, okay. Invalid argument, initialize functions, argument 1 should be a dictionary, but is a state machine. Ah, my bad. Okay, so that's on state map created. Let's just emit to that. State controller, connect, and go like this. The other thing we could do, if we don't want to have to like link them up like that, we can actually just go state machine dot state map created dot connect, because this will actually work. Connect, and we connect it to on state map created, right? And then that way we can actually, that makes more sense in terms of having to signal back and forth. I'm gonna run, if I just run this scene, what does that look like? Dunno. I don't think I got that, eh? Well, actually, I'm not doing any printouts, so like maybe. Did I? No, there's nothing coming out of this. What are we getting? State map created is not getting called on state map created. State controller, state machine. Initialize. Unless initialize is not happening straight away, create state map. No. Okay. When does initialize get called? Am I waiting until the actual battle starts before I call this function? It gets called in the ready. Yo, am I crazy? Why isn't that being called? Add state. Create state map. God damn it. Why do we have a boss state machine has like a separate create state map function? Change state, finish connect, change state map. Like, why did I do that? Okay, so create state map. For child in state get children, add state child. Did I not want to connect finish up? What are we doing here? Add state. We're connecting a bunch of stuff. I guess we wanted to do that. Navigation agent. So we're basically, that's why. Return add state, but like, we're not, okay. It's fine. I understand. Enemy state machine requires more parameter setting. Okay. I think that's all right. And now we're actually getting here, and we should be getting a printout of all the states. No, okay, why not? So I deleted it. Okay. Y in state. State inactive. I is just the state. Or is it the string? Hard to tell. It seems to be accepting what I'm doing, so I think we're good. So if I go to the state controller then, here in the remote, yeah, we've got a bunch of states and we've got scores. Nice. Okay, cool. So that works as intended. Now, I actually think we don't really want to work on this within the world. We want to actually just try and make this separate and then bring it in later. So let's go back to, because we want to create like a base set of functions. But this is a good start. So we've got initialize, and then what do you do with that? You know what I mean? Like there's a function called like go to state. You know what I mean? Or like and there's also like the fact that when the so what we've got hold enemy as like so how these enemies work, like specifically the bosses, they don't do anything until they've been given instructions. So like when you walk in the room, nothing is sort of happening, and you sort of are just waiting for, you know, the boss to start. So like the camera moves, it doesn't look quite right because that, so you know, it moves into place, you can see the boss there, but you can't actually shoot it or fight it. It's waiting for you to get closer. And then once you stand on a certain point, it'll activate, right? And then you actually have to fight it. And like this boss is like really basic. It's going to crash. Add child and null value. Scene root. Game state dot current scene hasn't been set. Interesting. So I changed the structure of my game again. And it was mostly just so that I could press the run current scene button because I couldn't before. But I guess that means that the current scene is never set. I wonder if I can fix that. Then we can actually test this stuff out. So is there a way within the... We got a lot of debug, eh? Ah, it's not that bad. Is there a way within Godot that you can set the... you can know whether or not you're running the scene or you're running the game? I guess that is the question, if that's the case. If I look at game state. So it wants there to be a scene. Damn, the script is big. Without the current scene, things are sometimes a little bit tricky. It's just so that I spawn things in the right... I want to spawn them there. Although if I'm running as this... it's funny, actually. If I run current scene, right, if I go to security drone and run that, it's not even going to be like structurally in the correct spot anyway. Because it's down here when it expects it to be there. Interesting. I wonder, run current scene, if that is something you can tell. I guess we could just like do a backup for that. Like theoretically, we can just say, you know, it's if no current scene exists, then you know, just spawn it as the scene route. Like just go get parent and just do that. I'm gonna dodge. There's some stuff. Let's go for get scene. All right. And then just return, would return a node 2D. So we can just say var scene. We can say if game state start state, please. Current scene. Then create that variable first. Node 2D. And we can, I guess we just set it straight to this, and then we can say if that's null, just do like get parent or something. Like that. Okay, and when we'll do that, else return get parent. Actually owner.getParent, I guess, is probably a better way. It's gonna be top level anyway, so we can just return owner, and then here we can go scene root equals get scene root. And that should allow us to operate in any kind of environment without having to rely too much on any kind of trickery within how the game is structured. So now I should be able to just run this scene and actually play without having to like loop back around and all that kind of stuff. Ouch. Yep. Great. Dude, his hitbox is pretty generous, eh? Pretty easy boss, all things considered. You just have to time your jump. Like, that's literally it. Prints out his health. What's halfway for him? Oh, is there... Oh, there we go. Ouch. I died. Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing as well. Like, I guess it doesn't reset the game if you die in this kind of situation. Well, there's things to consider. But hey, at least we can actually just test the loop. That's the main thing. How should I? I mean, you never know what people know. You just throw it out there. Yeah, okay. All right. So let's get back to the actual thing. Security drone, Brostron, state controller. So we're going to initialize, and yeah, we can, I guess we can create a function called go to next state. And then it's like state to state. Now how states work is we're going to need to know the current state. Right? And we'll need to either get that from the state machine. Like theoretically we could get all this information. Like we don't need to like keep track of this ourselves, although we could, right? Like when we go to current, when we go to state, go to next state, right? We could say that the state that we pass in is the next state, and then at some point, so we can go current state dot finished dot emit, and then pass in the state dot name because it's string related. It works in via string. So you pass in the state dot name, and then you could say that yeah, it probably needs to work off signals. Actually, now that I see this, like you're gonna have to like actually you're gonna need to, once the state enters itself, we're gonna need to actually like know about that, right? Okay, and then it updates, because like it's not gonna do that straight away. We could always just go current state equals state, right? I guess you could always do that, but then you know, like who knows what might happen, because it might not be the current, I don't know. So we can say on state entered, and it's going to be a state, right? And this will just set current state to be equal to state. And we can connect that up as we're going through these. So I believe actually states, we can get all the way back to states, have a state entered signal. So we will actually know, as long as they're calling that, because they don't always do that. So it's something you do have to manually input here. So like none of them do that in the enter state. So, you know, or we put it in the state machine, or change state. Yeah, when we change states. when we enter into the new state, current state.empty, exit. When do we call enter there? We could also just call change state directly. Like, rather than calling finish.emit, we could also, we have access to the state machine. We can just say state machine.change state. And then, yeah. I think current state in this context is actually a string though, right? No, it's a state. Okay, it's actually a state. Right. Right, so we could call state machine.change state. Ductator, hello, how are you? I think I like this better because in theory the state controller should be controlling the state machine. Invalid argument for change state function argument 1 should be a string, but it's state. Okay. And then you know after that's been called current state equals state. I would think it would be good if state machine change state returned the state. I don't know how much that breaks my state machine. You know what I mean? Like, how much does that affect our state machine? Not all code paths return a value, right? I guess if state machine has, we just return current state, right? How much is it? Like, this my state machine is being used by like anything that uses a state machine. So that's the player as well. So like, does that break a lot? Don't know. Yeah, it does break a lot because this is it should return state. Should have done it. I should have done a git push before doing something like this. It was low-key kind of crazy. I just keep pressing the button until eventually it'll work. But there's more than that runs the state machine, so like literally everything. I guess it's fine. Ouch. That's too slow. Too close, too slow. Okay. I guess it's fine. I guess it's fine. Okay, sweet. State, we should go to next state. So then we can just say current state equals change state name, right? Current state equals state machine dot change state name. You didn't add a debug mode? Not yet. I need to. I have ideas. I have help. I haven't done it. Depends what you mean by that as well. Like, I think there is like some information, not this scene, like if I run the level and press this, I do have information, some, not a lot, like the current state, right? Buffs, speed, velocity, input direction. And if I press this button, okay, that doesn't work in this particular state of the game. But if I run the actual game and I press like any one of these, doesn't matter, and I press Control tilde, I have like, I can give myself money, change abilities, reset things if I need to. So there's some things, just not, it's not like 100%. It's not good. It's just sort of put together for stuff that I've needed over time. And also like adding stuff to that list is not good either. Like you have to do it manually. It kind of sucks. So, I mean, it works. Yeah, for what I've needed it for. Okay, so the state controller goes to next state, right? So what else have we got? State entered, go to next state. And then I guess like the big one is sort of, my debuggers will just print messages. At least I've added a toggle to turn them off and on. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Like the big one is going to be set score. Like you're just going to have to do that yourself. I don't know what that looks like for each individual one. Set state score. And then get the most favorable, get next state. Right, those are the big ones. I'll underscore this one as well. So this is the kind of thing that you override. But at the same time, like this, and this is actually going to return a state, by the way. So var next state, and then return next state. Right. So this, I like how this is, I feel like this is a new warning. The variable next state is used before being assigned a value. I used to just be able to do that and it wouldn't like get cranky at me. But so we're gonna just go and loop through the dictionary and get the one with the highest number, right? Now I'm feeling kind of lazy, so I'm gonna go look at Tusk. Craze Tusk, he's got an AI that we're kind of trying to copy. But we choose action. That's pretty much it. For I in state stack, state value, and then next state. If state value is greater than state stack action, identify action is not, oh yeah, right. If state value is never used. The variable next state is never used before this being assigned a value. Right. State value. Next state. Wait, what the heck? State stack I. There you go. Next state equals I. That's what I'm doing here, right? Wait, what the hell? Back button doesn't work anymore. Action equals last action. Right, if state value is greater than the state stack action. Okay, so we're just like, hey, is it more than the last action? Which is not really what we're trying to do. We're just trying to find the biggest one in the stack. So we should set the next state to be I and then test it. So next state. Do dictionaries have like pop front or whatever? They don't, right? Like you can't just like grab the first one in the value state. Get typed key value, get has, all is empty, is read only. It doesn't really, I guess it doesn't really matter. Assign, duplicate, erase, find key, get or add, get typed, built in. Like you can't, it's like kind of annoying. Is typed key. Like an array would actually be easier here. Values. Returns a list of values in the dictionary. What does that even mean? So I guess we need a number. We just have to track it, right? So we start off with 0. And then we're just going to test if the value of each key is greater than the last. And if it is, use print rich everywhere. So I'm not squinting at piles of ASCII. Print rich. Is that in Godot? I don't even know. Like this is always going to be like this is the same thing because we're just setting the state value to this. I guess you could say like we could use current state as like the value. If there is a current state. Or you could just say that it's equal to idle or something like that. Is there a base state? Like how we know that? We don't. And we don't want to make an assumption. So I guess, yeah, we could just use current state. I guess we could go current score as like a float, and then it can be equal to state stack bracket current state. Right, and then gee, I don't know. This is what I really want is an array, but I'm not going to get that. What about a custom sort? We can just sort by values. There is custom sort for dictionaries. Right, I saw that before. Sorts the dictionary in ascending order by key. The final order is dependent on the less than comparison by keys. Okay. This method ensures the dictionary entries are ordered consistently when keys or values are called. So that's, do we have like a custom sort? That's not helpful. Unless we organize it by the number rather than the state. Could be done. Could it though? It's sure the dictionaries are ordered consistently when keys or values are called when the dictionary needs to be converted to a string through global scope string. That's not, I mean, that's not what I need it for, but like... okay, I guess not. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to loop through and find the one with the highest number. I just don't want to be doing the same thing again. I guess we can just start at 0, current score. And then we can just go, if current score is greater than state stack I, then next state equals that, current score equals next state stack dot I, state value. And you can just use state value here. Right, so it's always going to get the greatest one. However, if it is the same as the current score, so if current state stack, current state, no, if current state, if I is equal to current state, then continue. Right, just skip that one. We don't do it. It doesn't get considered in the actual thing, and then it just returns next state. Okay, we just loop through them like that. That's fine. That should work. And then we just have to set a score. That's really it. Because you get the next state, it returns it, you go to the next state. And then that's it. Am I missing anything? I don't know. We can just like inherit this for like all the different enemies that need it. And we can just define the behavior in the set score function. Based on whatever. Do we need because we're not really defining, so here's the thing. Do we put the export variable for the enemy, which would be the player, I guess, for the player here? Do we, because it's, how important is it to know, like some enemies don't care, right? They just have to perform a couple of actions depending, right? Interesting. I think we'll just start there as like a base point, and then we can delete this state controller. Mouse, don't go flat again. Delete that. Right. I wonder if the it could be a parent of the state machine. That'd be cool. And then we add a node 2D and then just attach a new script to it. This is how I plan to do it. We'll call this drone state control. We can just even call it state controller, that's fine. And then attach the script. And it inherits state controller. And then boss one state controller. Create. I don't really want to call it that, to be honest. That's annoying. Drone file name. We call it security drone state controller just because like that way we don't have a million state controller scripts in our project. That'd be super annoying. So we'll do that. And then, yeah. What does it need to know about? Export. It does need to know the player, right? So it wants to know where the player is, player character. It wants to know the state machine. I kind of like it if this is a parent of the state machine. Actually, I wonder if that's going to break anything. And where does it get access to the player? Now, enemies do inherently get access to the player. Normally when they're activated via like a signal of some kind. Just so they know where the player is and stuff like that. So I think once we've hit release, we set physics processing to true. But we also have set target here, state machine, set enemy target. So that can be something we test for in set score. Right. Where do we get that? This is just a something that the enemies can do. Target updated emit. So there's a signal. Okay. Boss defeated, target update. So we can just emit that to this state controller. Player equals target. So now we have that. And then I just said it has to, basically we have to just do set score. And then decide on what to do next. So I think I'm going to be like kind of sneaky here. I'm going to say on the ready function, this is actually just going to be turned off. Right? So we're going to process. Sorry for the off-topic question, but I see people using AI to build games now. This made me lose my motivation to learn Godot at GDScript. What do you think about using AI for game development? Well, AI is a tool, and just like any other tool, it has its limitations, it has its benefits. And obviously there are ethical concerns, but that's mostly around like artistry. Like text, I think is mostly okay, I think. It just depends, but like you have to remember, it's still just a text machine. So, you know, it doesn't know what it, you know, it has limitations to what it can do. I think it's fine if you want to ask it a question every once in a while, but that's really got to be something that's up to you. If the AI has stolen data at the start, then don't touch it. Exactly. Yeah, that's a big problem. You don't want to be going near that. Even with the text, no one really talks about it, but like, I'm sure the text-based LLM stuff, like getting Claude to write code for you, like they've taken that. I mean, they've taken it from a lot of places where it's kind of like a bit ambiguous anyway. Like, you know, if you're going to like the Stack Exchange, like a human could do that too. But like when you're using it for commercial purposes, that's like the problem, right? So, but yeah, like, yeah, obviously don't use it for art because there's definitely 100% copyright concerns there. People don't like it anyway. And then as far as like using it to do code, countries are banning OpenClaw right now. There'll be a big pushback soon on agentic AI. Yeah, I don't think it's good. But if you need it, like, I wouldn't have it just write your game. Like, what's the point? Do you like making games? I guess that's the whole thing with this AI thing. Like, oh, it's not like I'm not motivated to make a game because AI can make one now. Do you like making games? Yes or no? If you do, then just keep making games, man. If you like what you do, then you're always going to be better than some robot and some guy that doesn't have any imagination trying to make a quick buck, right? And if you want to incorporate it into like part of your coding process, okay, I think it's better if you know how to code to do that, because like the AI is going to make mistakes just like anything else. So I reckon just go natty and, you know, should be right. Ask it questions, but don't let it code for you. Or even just like try Googling first, you know? Like unironically, I just like figuring stuff out on my own. Like why would I want to have AI do this? This is the part like I like this. You know what I mean? You know what I used AI for the other day? I asked it to locate something within a big ass contract because it's going to do it faster than me. 100%. You know? There's no question about that. But am I going to ask it to like make an enemy AI controller for me? No. So I want to do that. But if other people are using AI, I don't really have anything against them. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, dude. I've definitely softened my position. If coding isn't what you want to do, go ahead and use it, but just know all of them kind of suck at it and they'll make super obvious mistakes. Very often call upon non-existing functions. Sometimes they think writing something in a comment changes things. That's so funny. Yeah, it's one of those things, when it first came out, I was super like hyped, and I asked it to write like a player controller, and I was like, it did it with a physics body, and I was like, I don't know, bro. Like, I think you should use a kinematic controller. This is for Godot. You know, and then after that, I was like, yeah, I don't think this is it, but like, it's definitely improved. If you use current forms of AI, start the session prompt with Socratic mode on or teacher mode, and use it to test your comprehension. Yeah. Check the work. Also, like, just have your own opinion, you know? Like, I've used it, I've asked it questions before in relation to stuff, but like, it's mostly just to see, like, I think this, here's the information in front of you. Like, the thing is with AI, like, if you say this has pissed me off, like, I say to it, like, I think this, here's the information. What do you think? And it says, you're technically correct. However, you need to take into account these considerations. And I'm like, well, am I correct or am I not correct? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't ever want to tell you no. I tend to use it to throw in code. I found somewhere that you have to write comments to explain everything. Oh, what everything does. Okay. That sounds nice. But like, yeah, I don't think I'll ever use it for game development. Not unless it becomes like something that, yeah, it just feels like less interactive. You know what I mean? And this is what I like doing, so like, why would I want to have something else do it for me? So, where was I? State controller. Right, yeah, so we need to, so when we initialize, right? We initialize, we don't ever set the current state. So we should probably do that. Also, like, I'm also thinking you lose the ability to sell the product if you use AI. You cannot show provenance and get audited. I mean, it's a valid point from a commercial perspective. There is like obvious concerns. Like, I feel like small stuff, you'll get away with it. Like, no one's gonna, but if you're trying to sell something or trying to sell IP or anything like that, apples are apples. However, apples may not be apples. Yeah, 100%. All the audit companies rubbing their hands together in years when this is mainstream. Yeah, they're like, how did you come up with this? Can you show like your working process? Do you even know what this does? Man, audit is like, if you've never sat through like an interrogation, because that's what they kind of feel like. Audits feel like interrogation. It's crazy. And they're just sitting there. I get really mad. It pisses me off, honestly. Because it's like, I get your job is to like test me, but also like, do you not like when I tell you something, they treat me like I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe they get a lot of people who just get stumped on it. Initialize. Yeah, we don't ever state map created. How's the game art looking? Okay, if you can't right now, just curious. I have no art. This is my first boss. It's a red block with some wheels. That's it. The only thing that I've done art really is the main character, and even then, like, it's pretty basic. Like, I can change this. It wouldn't take too long. And then the tile map is just the tile map. We have been discussing yesterday and today whether or not to do a 3D background and the advantages and disadvantages of that. Because I was kind of floating the idea of doing a 3D background. But there's obviously challenges with the lighting, challenges with syncing everything up. So in our main area here, 3D background would go hard, but there's technical limitations because this is a 2D game. So if we turn this on, the 3D here is in the background. It's very like blocky and low poly at the moment. The game story, it's kind of open to change. It's really just like, in my headcanon, we're basically just doing like, I'm doing Hollow Earth conspiracy theory in a game because I think that kind of theory is really fun. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a really funny idea. So basically, we're going to be in a scientific research facility, top secret, in Antarctica that's been like going down into the Hollow Earth and like getting the technology from there and using it for military purposes. And then like now everything is going wrong. You know what I mean? And you've got to like try and contain that. You know, that's like literally it. That's literally the entire like premise. But like, that's all it is, a premise. You know, there's nothing else. It could be anything. You could say, like, you know, everyone could be like, yeah, no, that idea sucks. And then you'd be like, put it in space. And I'd be like, okay, it's in space now. The only thing I'm really like kind of set on is I do want it to be like science fiction rather than fantasy. Hawkins Lab? I don't know what that is. Is it a show or something? Top secret government in Stranger Things. Oh, the universe is located in Hawkins. Stranger Things. Imagine seal monsters? There is a seal monster. Tusk? Tusk? Where is Tusk? Oh, the game is running. I think I want to touch this guy up a little bit, and the hitboxes go crazy. But yes. Yes. That's essentially it. So yeah, like you're gonna, in my head, that you would go through different areas, you would go through like a place where you're trying to fight all the security, because the security like is trying to kill everybody because it just wants to contain whatever's going on. So it's just like kill everything. And then your prediction was right. Yes. Sea monsters. And then you might go on to animal lab testing, and there's all these animals that have been like genetically modified to be like military assets. So that's like a killing machine. And then I have another idea where it's like human testing. So I have another guy called, I think Brutox is the name. Brutox the Vein, which is right now just a big circle. But imagine a human head and a floating tail. Why have I got so much stuff? This guy's a fun boss. I like him. But yeah, we got nothing else. Like, he's literally a circle. Like, if I play this level, If it runs, yes it will. Widen this up. Look at this, I could probably jump over it. I can escape. And you shoot him and then he gets mad. And you have to, oh, he got stuck. Is he gonna go back? Yeah, he will go back to normal. That's so funny. So basically, yeah, he just shoots lasers at you and you gotta avoid him and then he'll do like a laser out of his eye. But yeah, imagine a more like real looking face. Like the face of a man. This guy has a lot of health. He's meant to be like a sort of skill check. I died. It's not going to reset because we're not playing the right game. Yeah, that's fascinating. I made the room bigger and now it's fucked. Also, look at all these errors. The hell? We'll worry about that later. Anyway, so we're in the process of trying to like tidy up the AI for these bosses, essentially. If that seal is creepy and big, how big are the polar bears? Also, sorry if I say something unrelated, it's delayed. Oh yeah. I have it set to like fast, don't I? I thought I had it set to fast. Maybe I've been experimenting with going, so I used to schedule, yeah, oh no, it's not set to ultra low latency. It's not set, I need to change that. So I've been experimenting, I was scheduling the streams and I don't think the algorithm really likes that because like the streams are always really quiet. I mean, not that like 7 is like that many, but like, I do think it probably gets a bigger push if I just go live, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I had it set to ultra low latency, but if I just press the go live button, I think it defaults to regular latency and I can't change it after you go live. So I'm not sure. Anyway, imagine deep frozen underwater rooms with remains and skeletons of megalodons. Yeah, something like that, probably. I don't know. It depends, like, in terms of scope. It's just me. So it's like, how much can I really do? Stuff like that I definitely would have added in. But yeah, we'll see how far we get with it. It might be too much to handle. So I'll just like, you know, make it more basic. We need the security drone. Security drone. Okay, state controller. Super fun stuff. We're not ever setting the current state in this like paradigm, right? So we initialize the state map, right? But we don't ever set the current state. However, initialize on state map created, right? The state machine kind of like does that, right? Create state map, add state child. How does it decide what to start on? Start state. On state entered, state. Last state, state. This has got a lot of like custom stuff in it that we probably don't need. So how does it start? I think like that's the biggest thing. Health container, health change, play death effect, set target, target state, set enemy target. This is the big thing here. Like when you get a target, it like does a thing. Yeah, when do we actually set? Or is it just when we set the target? So I'm just trying to unpick my old code so that I can understand where to like actually override this stuff. 1 of 3 matches. Physics process. State machine set enemy target. Okay, so that's what happens. We call set target. And I'm guessing, because this one actually starts off in inactive. Not that that matters, I don't think. Inactive doesn't do anything. Start state is inactive, but like we don't ever set the state. So when we get set enemy target current state finish dot emit start state, makes me wonder what state is it in when we run the level or run this. Doesn't matter really. Current state is actually inactive. Does my fox character have a name? Not really. I never gave it a name. It's just a character from my first game. That was like a game jam game. That's it. Could we put him in? We probably should as like an Easter egg. That would be fun. And the seagull too. The seagull is this seagull. They're sort of like the two characters that I use in my videos. Have him be an enemy. The game I originally was gonna make with those guys was like you're a fox and you're rescuing like the birds, kind of like Sonic, you know, when you rescue the forest creatures. That was literally what it was gonna be, and then I just never made it, and I made a game jam with those characters instead, and that was it. I would fight mutant seagulls. I lost a few chips. I've had that happen to me. Yeah, I distinctly remember being a child at the beach and like carrying some kind of food in my hand, and then a seagull just took it from me. New game quests. just stole it right out of my hands. Right, so what are we doing with this? In the state machine, when we set enemy target, we basically... So how do we get into the idle state? That's the thing. We start in the inactive state, but what are we doing here? Like, nothing is being called ready, right? In the state machine, is there anything in the ready state? Create state map, initialize start state. Okay, so we do initialize into the start state. Current state dot enter. Right. So stat map created dot emit. We could, after initialize, we could emit start state map and the starting state as the current state, just to work within the paradigm that we already have. So if we do that here, rather than here, and we emit the state map and the current state, then we will know when we go to the state controller we also know that. Actually, you know what? We know that already. We actually know because we have access to the state machine. We're the parent of it, so we can actually go state machine dot start state equals current state. Wait, or wrong way around. Imagine a game had some. I lived in the bush. Kookaburras are worse. Valid. That's a valid take. I agree with that. Imagine if you had some dark side thing where mutant polar bears eat the mutant seals and then mutant fish, but they are evil. I mean, that would be cool, but like the thing is, as a Metroidvania, that kind of emergent stuff is not common. Maybe as like a pre-animated thing, mutant polar bears. Also, that would be really hard to code. Okay, so now we know current state equals state machine dot start state. Easy. So now we know what the current state is from the get-go, and we can basically override that targeting thing here. So when we Tusk? Oh no, not that move. He pecks you. That's his whole thing. He like hits you with his pecs. Hits you with his pecs. Hits you with his tusks. He like, if you get too close, this boss is kind of basic too, but like if you stand too close to his head, he'll do like a tusk attack. Like that. This sounds. I forget this sounds. I like how if you've got the animation player selected, it just does that. Root big drone no found relative. Oh, that's interesting. Implicit ready. Charge point 1, charge point 2. Ground enemy motion. What the hell? Anyway, state controller is the new thing. But yeah, so right now we go to when we detect the enemy or when we get given the enemy, which I actually think comes from like something else, like when you walk into the area, right? So we get hold enemy and then we get release and also set target. Now we make sure that it waits 1 second because we don't want it to just go crazy straight away. And then we go set enemy target updated.emit. So we can just like take that out. And then we can actually just like go from there. So we target update emit, and that goes to the state controller. Right. So right now, if we run that level, I'm pretty sure the security drone just won't do anything. So like if we trigger the battle, nothing happens now because it was relying on that to actually start. So we got a lot of errors happening as well. A lot of implicit readies. Health container not found. I wonder what I did. Did I move? Oh yeah, I moved shit around. That'll do it. That'll do it. Anyway. So yeah, state controller here. What do I mean big? But I mean but. Wait. With the food chain thing, I mean, imagine if there was hints big, but you don't have to see them. Like you just see the animals and the bosses. Yeah, you put it in like an email. Like you can, in the game, there's going to be like computers and stuff that you can check on and get like text responses from. There's one here. And this one just says, you know, a polite message to all employees, please remember to clean your dishes in the team room. But you could easily put within this like a test, you know. We were doing experiments on the polar bears and they did some crazy shit. Okay, so on updated target, and then we can go to whatever, like, I like the blends of 2D and 3D. Like Billy Bust Up? Who's Billy Bust Up? I've never heard of that before. A 3D platformer that blends. To be announced? Oh, it's not out yet. Oh, is it like cartoonish?
But before we start, there are things you must know.
Okay, I'm listening.
What is it, like a musical? Wait, this is all 3D.
Master defense. That umbrella you have, that makes the most sense. I'll give it some power, enough to be strong, but you must time it right, because it won't hold for long. Use it wisely, time each attack. You should just have enough to keep them all back. Here they come.
Does this appeal to people?
It was a great start. You're learning defense, but there are
It's a musical. The music of bangers.
situations far more intense.
Is the target audience kids, or is it like people who like musicals?
I will show you a trick, but use it with care. It only works once and takes time to repair. The next time you find yourself trapped or surrounded, you will
Dude, that's
be
sick, that ice
helpless,
skating move.
If they overcome you attacking en masse, take them all out with one big final blast. Your
Aristotle.
saved a whole village.
That guy had like textured eyes, and some of them don't. That's interesting.
We fought as we searched for a way to defeat it, and this little trick was the way that we beat it. We saw that the dragon really loved music. Its attacks were in time, and we knew we could use it.
I don't know, because one of the songs is called "A Million Gruesome Ways to Die." Yeah, but like as long as it's fun, kids won't care.
Could be defeated if you counted with them. Remarkable, Billy! You did it! You really did it!
Very interesting. I wonder how that will go. Release date to be announced. Is this being made by Billy Goat Games? Cool. I mean, it's not for me, but like, I can see how this might appeal. You know, it's a good way to differentiate. If you listen to the songs, I mean, I'm not much of a music. You know, like what do you call it when it's like musical? Like that kind of Broadway style. I've never really liked that, but the gameplay looks alright. Like the movement and stuff looks pretty cool. Blends music, magic, and adventure. Epic Mega Grants. Nice. I mean, I can't add it to the wish list here, but I will add it if I remember later on. It's a cool idea. What's that? Okay, so once Gruesome Ways to Die and Pirate Queen is cool, will I get like copyright striked if I play them? Music is a bit touchy on YouTube. Yeah, I hope not. It seems like they put a lot of effort. You know what I mean? Like in terms of music. It's not easy to write that kind of stuff. On Big Drone Target updated, we had set the player, and if player is null, if not player equals target. Whoa. I don't know what happened there. And then we start the action. So what do we do? Do we just like, they're all going to be 0. The score, they're not going to have a score. Oh, sorry. So, like, what is the test? Do we just go straight into chase? Like, if we set that. Like, I guess that's my decision at that point. Also, like, I don't know. That's the other thing as well, like, kind of interesting concept. I don't know what the states are. You know what I mean? So if I go, like, state chase... You know what I mean? It's actually kind of an interesting concept. Like before I wasn't really thinking about that, but like how am I supposed to decide what goes into this? Like how do we give the scores to each state? Because like they're kind of, we're going to set state score, that's kind of blank, but like we're going to need to get access to the different states. State NOP, no operator is the usual starting one. I don't know what that means. So, I have a Slenderman games in production. Their sequel names rhyme with the numbers, like Slenderman, Don't Take Me Away, Please Don't Take Me Too, Let Us Fee, Pages from Before We Will Survive, or as a prequel. NOP is a command in assembly language that means do nothing for one operation. Oh.
Semicolon 3.
Welcome, Goosefat. How are you? I have to go to the toilet, but I'll be back, eh? And then we'll figure this out. Keep an eye on Angel for me. YouTube pancakes. Hope you have a good night. Game dog time. Doggo tax. Branch manager has called Mr. Schaff about abusing walrus pixels. Yeah. For real. You do be doing that. This one. Yes. Okay. So we need to set the score, but we kind of need to know what each one is. And I can't think of a way to do that other than just doing it manually. I guess, like I said, we're deriving this here. So like this is the part where we can get custom. Like we could have like the states that we care about, like as individual variables. So that I think that it's okay. So you've got like idle. This is a state. Export var chase, put lowercase. A state is state. Export var shoot. Is it faster if I just like, if I make these all accessible unique names? And then we can just draw them in. It's probably better, eh? Maybe you just make that consistent. And they're also just nodes. That's interesting. They're definitely more than node. Right, they... I guess... Does, that's interesting. I didn't know that, but I guess doing this way actually doesn't allow them to take on the type unless it's a built-in type. Now it's unhappy. So then this is definitely the way you want it to be. And I'll ditch the state. I don't want this. So then it's like, okay, well, we can assign the player, but we can't. So we just assign the states however we like. Make sure we assign them correctly. Barrage, and then call enemy. Right, so then we can make that kind of distinction. We've got like our variables here. This is extending the state controller, so we're like in a separate script, and that's fine. And so now I can say like, oh, well, okay, so if not player, which means this is we're getting this for the first time, then you can say we want to do chase, so we can go set. I guess we'll say like, if we're going to manipulate this the most, we can give shoot cannon a score. So we can say, what's it called? State stack bracket shoot cannon equals, just go 100, and then call get var next state equals get next state. And we just, what does that actually require? I don't even know my own code. It doesn't require anything. It just returns the one with the highest score, which should be super arch, I guess. Or we could just go like straight for it. You know what I mean? Like it's really... And then there's choose next state. Go to next state. Next state. Why is it angry at me? Variable next state has no static type. It's a state. Client brought a HB potato class starship instead of listening and going for a Metabox or Apple. The lessons will be slow. Yeah, that's like not a play. I don't know, like, it's funny, sometimes you don't realize people don't really understand what makes a computer good or bad. And like people end up buying like bad stuff. Like, I mean, HP, I'm sure they have like powerful computers, but if you're buying something, the thing is, Intel makes it, or like, I think Intel makes it super confusing. But I don't know about AMD. I've never owned an AMD, but I know for sure like Intel makes it super confusing to figure out like what's good. Intentionally, I think. I don't know. Agent Froggy, sorry I missed that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we should just go straight into chase then. And then I guess the other thing as well, like none of these should be finishing a mit. Or if they are going back into idle, that's okay. Well, I mean, is it though? We need to define something else. Or they all go back into idle, but idle doesn't do anything except for like wait for instructions. You know what I mean? Like we just comment all of this out. It does nothing. It just updates gravity and stops. I don't even know why this thing has gravity. It can't jump. Target information update check. I don't know what that's for. Comment it out. Get rid of these. We don't need it anymore. Get player target position? What function is that? It's in the state? Enemy motion. Oh, okay, enemy motion. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening here that like doesn't really need to be in the state machine if you have a controller, because there's a lot of like, oh, test the position of the player. This just like literally returns the target. And then there's also like, maybe there's an argument for the state controller to be Node 2D so that it actually can do a raycast, because it might need to. Something to consider before we get too deep into this. Nothing wrong with it being a node, except for the fact that it can't raycast. Like it doesn't have access to the world, which makes you have to like offset. You have to like put that responsibility onto the actual character controller, which realistically you really want this to just sort of like take movement instructions. Like if you look at the player's character controller, it has not a lot going on except for the fact that it's got like all these signal connections. But like if you look at the physics process, it's just like emitting its position and moving and sliding. That's it. You know what I mean? We're not doing much else. Actually, we're doing a lot. Never mind. I'm full of shit. What I meant is in terms of like movement, but I think this is the same. It's just calling move and slide, actually. Okay, so go to next state, and then in idle it does nothing. It probably just needs to like emit a signal saying that it's ready for like another instruction. That's what I think would work best, right? So like it basically it does an instruction. So here in the state controller, obviously we get the target, we go to next state, which is the next state, and then once it gets back to idle, it like says, hey, can you like give me something to do? Because idle hands, you know, it's time to lean, it's time to clean. If it's time to lean, it's time to do an attack. So like when it gets to idle, then it can get another instruction, or it can wait. I don't know. But yeah, let's see just now if it does even do the chase. Go from there. also want big drone, but we want actually this node here. So it should just do a charge. It crashed. Go to next state. The keyframe name on base object type nil. We passed in nothing. Huh. Interesting. We can return null. That is a possibility here. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Fallback state or something. A null return on the state should not really be possible. So next state equals 0, current score equals 0. And then we're going to go into the state value. So we get the I, whatever that is, current score versus state value. Current score is 0, state value is 100. We've got the evaluators around the wrong way. If current score is greater than state value, then next state. We actually want it to be less than. If state value, let's flip these, is greater than current score, then set the next state to be that. There's our answer. Okay, if there is a current state, if I equals to current state, then return. Where's current state? It is set. It's idle, I think, or inactive or something. Next state equals I. And then we're going to return next state. Okay, great. Okay. We have a crash already. A lot of stuff is depending on this. We're just going to have to unpick it. Which is fine. State control, let's get rid of that. I guess we just set next state to be equal to current state as like a fallback so that it always returns something rather than null. And then I guess we're never gonna consider current state in the. Yeah, I think that's all right. Okay. Yeah, let's figure out the next error because that was like something to do with the target. I don't think I'm propagating it down properly. Target is null. Target position equals vector 2 target. Target is null. Target is null. So we do need to like set the target, and I took that away from the state machine. So I can fix that with the state controller. Yes, I was like, why does it even need this for the charge? It needs to know which direction to go. Go back to 2D. I always get confused when I do that, when I press that button. I press this button, I'm like, where the hell is all my stuff? I forget. Okay, so we've got the state controller. Once we know the target, we can go state machine dot set target. Is that even a thing? What are we doing up here? Set enemy target is the name of the function. And I guess in the state controller, the question is this going to be an enemy state machine? This is a boss state machine. This is different. It does have a target. And do we need to propagate it? Set enemy target. So set enemy target. We don't. So we can just set target. And I think it's all is fine in the world if I do that, right? How does it get target? Oh god, old code from 6 months ago. Why did you do this to me? Charge? Chase? They don't admit? Wait, what the heck? Target position, target... Oh, did I choose the wrong one? Anyway, target global position. Target. It has a variable too. Why does it have a variable? How does it get the variable? How did it get the variable? Ground enemy motion, target. Check for target. Check player target. Get parent.target. Ah. Yeah, okay, so we just... Okay, so if we set the state machine target, we should be okay here. And this is going to be like a warning because technically it's not correct. And also I'm thinking that based on the way that it's behaving, I chose shoot cannon. Okay, that's fine. Let's just roll. Not this one. Broke it. Okay. Shit. Okay. So it gets there and then it goes back to idle. Hey, are you senior by any chance? How many years with coding? I mean, I've been coding for a long time, but I'm not a professional, so there are massive gaps in my knowledge. I know a lot about character controllers. I know a lot about Godot, the game engine itself, because I've just been using that since 2020. But like, yeah, there are just some things that I just don't know anything about because I don't have any kind of formal education. It is just what it is, you know? If you have a question, feel free to ask. I like teaching. So that's like the only reason I got into creating tutorial content is because it's something that I enjoy doing. There's not really much of a need for me to contribute anymore because, I mean, I still will if I think there's a gap, but like there are people who are way more knowledgeable than me. For sure. Are you senior enough to get free coffee at McDonald's? I'm not that old, all right? Welcome, Swagger the King. Self-taught. Just asking because I'm tired of being without a machine for opinion on juniors. A machine for opinion on juniors? You mean like in the career of like coding? There is always someone way smarter. Just ask the lads who made games directly with our electronics. Yeah, those guys blow my mind. Yeah, I'm like finance professional by trade, so like I don't really have an opinion about like hiring or anything like that. I can't really answer those questions. AI, I have opinions about AI. Lots of opinions. You shouldn't use it. Stop using it. It's bad for your brain, man. You have to recognize it for what it is. A big text machine. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, I said this before because like it's a common question, right? Like this is what I do for fun, you know, like I don't do this for a job. This is like a hobby for me. So like, why would I use AI to take over my hobby? We juniors are supposed to compete. Well, I mean, that's why it's bad, dude. Because like, if you're a junior and you're trying to get a job, but the AI can do your job better, supposedly, you know, that's what everyone says. That is actually like a major problem for society as a whole. Like the fact that young people can't get into jobs because companies and corporations just see it as like a cheaper, like it's cheaper to just get like Claude to do all the coding for them. That means you don't get a job. You don't get any work experience. It's impossible for you to break into the field, and then you end up unemployed. That's bad for the economy. That's bad for society. Like, that's not a good thing. If you want to sound like you have at least researched AI, you would know that it's thrown away term. Yeah, automated studies and then drilled into. I mean, I think people know that, like, they're talking about like large language models, LLMs, and stuff like that. Like, that is like the crux of one of the biggest reasons that it's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of employment, it's actually so interesting the way things have changed. And it wasn't like, things weren't easy for me. Like, I work in accounting, right? And I got my first job. It took me 6 months. This was in 2013. They call it neural networks. Oh my God. I don't even know that word. People are very confused. Percepticons. Yeah, I got my first job. It took me 6 months, right? And since I got my job working for an accounting, like not an accounting firm, but for like a listed company, I have not once seen them hire someone directly out of uni, ever. I'm the first person and I'm the last, you know what I mean? They only hire people that have like a CPA, which means you have like a master's degree. Essentially, you've done 3 years additional study. So you've done 6 years of study, plus you've worked for 3 years. That's what it takes to become a CPA. I'm an intern and I need this job. Well, are they asking you to use AI? I think you have to like put at some point, like, sure, you can have like ethical concerns, moral concerns, but if someone at your, like if your superior says use Claude, that's what they said to do. You know, perceptrons are the structure in data we use today that smooth brains call neurons. A digital percept axon is not at the bottom of the digital neuron. I'm a CPA, certified programming arsehole. That's funny. Yeah, they are indeed. They even teach prompt engineering. So the problem is the brain don't learn, you know? I guess you just have to do your self-learn. But like the job's changing, I guess, you know? The job, like we just got access to Copilot as an accounting team. And I used it the other day and I was pretty surprised with what it is capable of knowing. It's definitely improved since like ChatGPT 3 days. But you know, I don't want to rely on it, so I won't. And no one's asking me to. They basically said, you've got it. Like, you know, here's some stuff, but like that was about it. This is actually why I'm trying to game dev, so I can bypass the corporate AI bullshit. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, something like this, if you're serious about it, is like more rewarding than working for a company because you're putting your direct effort into getting a return. And that's always going to be way more money than working for a company, except for the fact that you have to hand over 30% to Steam. But like, you know, that's still more money. Like if you think about like how like, you know, even like a AAA studio works, they charging, you know, similar amounts, sometimes more, but like for the most part, they're spending millions and they're like, you're on the same playing field as them. So if you can compete with them and it's just yourself or a small team, like all of that profit just goes directly to your efforts rather than a corporate, you know, corporation that's paying you like a minimum wage or whatever. 30% to Steam stocks, I think. Yeah. If say 2000 before Steam, you would need to sell your game on a media like CDs, and that would probably be the same or higher than Steam. Yeah, there would be physical costs and also distribution. There wouldn't be a market. Like, game dev is the highest level of programming, underpinning all this media comprehension and entertainment professions. Don't sweat it if you're just starting to encompass 30 professions. Yeah, exactly. You need to know art. You need to know writing. You need to know music. There's a lot of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think, what is it? It's going to sound really dumb, but there's an anime called Welcome to the NHK, which I think is a really good, well, it's a good view into game dev, what it was like pre-internet. And also like, it's a good view into the struggles of like just trying to find your way in life, it's a really good show. And the main plot is like the guy is just an unemployed loser and his friend is developing a game and he helps him write the story because he's kind of like a pervert, you know, because they're making like a, you know, it's based in Japan. They're making that kind of game, if you know what I'm saying. And they have to go out to like function, like they go to like university events and stuff like that with the CDs to try and sell it. You know, it's just not, it's not like you were gonna make money. You had to make deals. That's when you needed a publisher. Also, depending on the genre, your Steam achievements are a good way to get more sales. Some people just play for Steam achievements. Okay. Draw a radar map for yourself and be blunt about how good you are at each area. A new radar map every month. Damn, that's crazy. Mine would be like programming most of my skill. Music is okay too. I know how to play musician. I know how to play musician. I know how to play instruments. I got some in the background there. I could make music if I wanted to. I just don't. Game music? I don't know. I've never had to do that. I actually got a new music toy earlier this week. Nice, dude. What'd you get? Like a keyboard, or did you get like a theremin? I suck at music composite. It's my kryptonite. Wow. I'm actually not that good either. Novation launch key 37. Nice. I've got a launch key. I don't know what mine is. It is a launch key, but it's small. And a trumpet. Like an actual trumpet? That's cool, dude. I've always wanted to play something like that. I really want to learn how to play drums, but I just don't have the time or the space or the patience. I would get, if I had like more space and I could like do it in a like place where it's not going to bother my wife and stuff like that. Like I'm going to be hitting stuff. Like if I had a bit more land and I could put it in like a shed or something, I'd get like an electric drum kit and like just learn how to play drums. Cause I think that would be sick. When I was writing music, like not full time, but like as my main hobby, I always liked programming the drums the most. That was like fun. Very satisfying when you get a good beat. Okay, what the hell are we doing? State controller. Right, so now we've got the basics here. We go to shoot cannon, although I think it should be chase. We need to set the score. We also need to reset the score. I've worked mostly in incidental music area, special effects, game sounds. We always hire someone for the bigger tracks, yeah. Makes sense. Even I don't really want to do it myself because I know how long it takes. Making music takes time. I want to sell stickers that will work with electronic drum pads so you can put them like on your skin and then get portraits of people you hate drum pad on them, just making their face while you play. Put them like a skin on them. So like when you just put them down on the drum pad and you can hit them. You have a Bitwig with complete. Nice. Yeah, I never got into like beat making. I just downloaded like a free drum kit and just went from there. And just like programmed it with MIDI. Because like doing the tappy taps, I'm not that good at it. So it unfortunately would just be me listening to like the same 4-bar beat over and over again until I found something I liked. I have a Superior Drummer 2 for drums, but that's like super old. Yeah, I used to have like a Sennheiser one that was like free. It was like crazy good, but I don't think you can get it anymore. And also I don't think it works anymore because it's like so old. And I've like reinstalled stuff on my computer. What did I have? Local disk E looks strange. E drive backup. I think it's under this. VSTs. Linux. My documents. Remedy? No. That's a game maker, soft maker. Reaper projects. I'm a big Reaper head. Drumica. Is it Drumica? I haven't got it installed, but I think this was it. And it was like actually really good. It sounded like real drums. And it was free, which is crazy. The old Drumica installation zip from 5 years ago. I think people still look for this. Yeah, a free acoustic drum sample library from Sennheiser. It was really good. I wonder if it still works. Installer's right here. I should test it out later. 2013. Oh, that was loud. Thank you for the resub. I can blow everyone's ears out. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for the Prime. Welcome, welcome, welcome. 4-month sub. It's my bad. I need to set up my stream elements correctly because they're not good at the moment. Also, I think I have direct control over that in OBS. I can just go I think that just comes through the follower alert. I can just turn that down. You know what I'm saying? Hope everyone's awake. I use LMMS, Sonic PI, but for procedural work. I wrote my own audio system in Godot. Damn, that's sick, dude. I would most likely learn to sing, but because I do it a lot when I'm drunk, I might sound better. No, you don't sound better. You just sound more confident because you're drunk and you don't have the fear. You probably sound worse, actually. Or maybe you sound better because you like singing with confidence. I'm a terrible singer. I tried, and I definitely don't want to do that anymore. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Go to next state. Okay, so once we've done that, we just have to decide how to just score our states together. So basically, it's really just a matter of distance with this guy and sort of repetition. We don't really want to do the same thing once. And the way I practice singing is I sing until my cat stops hissing and smacking me. Then I know I've gotten good eventually. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten there yet. Well, you never know. Just keep trying. So basically, this boss is actually kind of pretty easy because we just want to cycle through the different states. It's not particularly complicated. So we do want to have a extended state controller. In the state controller, we want to have a signal received here. So on state machine ready, right? And then it just gets next state. It just does the same thing. So var next state is a state machine, and it is equal to get next state. Brain loop. Yep. It just loops back around. So we say, hey, can you get the next state? And then it goes, go to next state. We pass to the next state. But where we call for this is really up to us. Cannot assign the value of type to variables next state. Yeah, that's all right. It's the wrong one. And then put an underscore on that. Every brain tick can be a new brain loop state. You're breaking my brain with these brain ticks. Every brain tick can be a new brain loop state. My brain don't work like that. It's much more basic. I did cheat sing though. I tried to make Rammstein style singing voice and recorded a little bit of it and fed it into a Suno to clean it up so I can make Rammstein AI songs when I'm bored. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Autotune is pretty good. It doesn't fix some things, but it will fix pitch. Brain loop is like when the worms in my brain start eating their own tails. Yeah, exactly. It's an Ouroboros of just brain worms. So yeah, on state machine ready, we just go to next state. Easy peasy. Brain bug. So in the state controller here, I guess we want to connect. So in the ready, do we have a ready in this? Don't we? We do have a ready here. So just keep that in mind. So basically we want to just do idle dot connect. Idle dot, we need to create a function here, a signal in the idle. Ready for next state. Ready action. Right. And then, so grab that, hit save. And then in the state controller, go idle dot ready for next action dot connect. And it's going to get angry at us because obviously we're like overriding. We're like calling a function that doesn't exist technically because it's just a state. That's fine. One state machine ready, and then we have to do return super. I forget how to do this. Is there an example somewhere? Return super. Here we go. Dot. Let's return super dot the function. I always forget. Yeah. Okay, so now, yeah, when we get back into idle, when we enter it, we don't even need to call get target position. We could just wait. We could wait a second. We could like have a delay before we call that again. You know, like what exactly is the difference between return dot super ready and just return super ready? I don't know. Actually, I just know that typing that works. And I don't know, maybe does that just work? Maybe I don't have to type super ready. Honestly, not too sure. If you don't need the return. Okay. I've always just put the return. Huh. Maybe it's like a Godot 3 thing. I don't know. Because that just makes it return the value, but since it returns void, it just follows the void and doesn't care. Okay. Oh, I guess maybe it depends on what you're actually doing. Like if it actually returns a value, you have to type that. I don't know. What's it doing? Oh yeah, we need to do like a delay. So we have a variable here. We'll do like a variable for like action delay. It's safer coding to add the return regardless as it speeds up the compiler wiping your ASCII pool. Poo. Okay, good point. Maybe that's why everyone says to do it. Action delay is a float. And it's equal to like what? 2 seconds? I don't know. And then action delay remaining. Yep. And then on the enter, we just say action delay remaining equals action delay. How is adding the return safer if it's going to return void anyway? It's probably just, I don't know. Like it's probably a Godot thing. Honestly, not sure. Action delay remaining minus equals delta. If action delay remaining is equal to or less than or equal to 0, then action, what is it called? Like, unless you want super ready to run before the other code, then writing return won't work. Huh? I think I know what you mean by that. Ready for it. Ready for next action. Okay. Okay. On state machine ready. And now we can decide what to do. Ready for action, emit. All right. That's fine. Easy peasy. I was taught to clearly define the end of functions. I think it makes sense. Not super important for this particular thing, but I always have used the return because that's what everyone, like if you, I don't know if it comes from the docs or not. Like, can you show it? Can I show what? Can I show the game? I can show the game. Let's see if this, what this does. I'm pretty sure it's just going to get caught in a loop going back to inactive or something like that. Like with the last one, or maybe it's just going to call enemies. In other languages I do with returns, but in Godot and others, I've always just made it. This is just the actual character. This is not what. Let's see what it'll do. I think nothing, right? Oh, it's just going to keep chasing because I never reset the score. So it's just going to keep doing that. Yeah. Okay. That's progress though. It's in a loop. We just actually have to like be updating the score based on, you know, whatever. It's working. But like in a really basic way. Alright, I gotta go check on something, but I will be back in like 5 minutes. Maybe it's coffee time? I don't know. Angel. She broke containment. Wait, is this working? I can't see that. Yeah, it is. Okay. Dude, she escaped. Guys, how can you let her escape like that? Get back in here. She doesn't want to come back. I don't know what she thinks. She's a bit confusing. as a dog. You want to hang out? I think she wants to hang out with my wife. She wants to hang out with her mummy, but she's still sleeping. You have to hang out with me. Oh, you don't like the lights? What is it? He's at the door. Come on. Alright, come in. Bench manager. She doesn't like being alone. I'm just making a coffee, and then I'll be back. I can still see here the kettle is still boiling. So, yeah, we just need to, at this point now, it's like a pretty basic loop. It's really just like offloading all of that complexity to this state controller here. We've got go to next state, and then we've got the request, but we do need to actually like set the score of each of these states and decide where to go next. So, you know, that is really it. So I would say like we define an order and then subtract. So we just want this to sort of go in a loop. If we just get this looping, if we override that function on state machine ready, and then we actually like set the score here, we also need to actually create the set score, set state score. Those two functions we need to define to actually get like the flow going. She didn't run away this time. Yeah, so I think that's really it. Like, you've got on state machine ready, and we don't really need to. So when we set the score, the current state, it's kind of a bit like, this is something we probably need to like control as well. Like the current state, when we go to next state, right? The current state equals state machine change state. So we need to actually like change that, because it doesn't, when it's state machine ready, like that's it just get next state, it just goes like Yeah, it's like, it's actually not the state that it's in because it's going to be an idle. So like, so when you set score, the current state should always be like penalized. Actually, it's not even taken into consideration, is it? Well, it did still just end up going in a loop because none of them are current score. Well, it's still, if state value equals if I equals current state, continue. Oh yeah, next state's always set to current state. Right. Okay. And then none of them are greater than that, so it just goes on. That's fine. That's why it loops. But sets state score. Your current state gets a penalty. I say, like, state stack current state equals minus 100, or something like that. Equals 0. Let's just set it back to 0. Actually, just reset it rather than giving it a penalty, or even like minus 1. Like, don't make it minus 100. And then in terms of like what this thing does, it really does one of two things, right? So if the current state is chase, the pattern was this. So we just go match current state. And if current state is equal to chase, then it needs to then state stack. I'm just trying to recreate its old behavior, by the way. Shoot cannon was the next thingo. Equals 100. If current state is equal to... Wait, I just did like match case chase. I've done this like an if statement, but actually such an idiot. If it's equal to barrage, then actually the next state is chase. And if it's shoot cannon, then it's barrage. Okay. That was literally it. And you know, we got to reset the scores as well. Maybe that's where the negative 100 comes in. You just take off that score. This is all hard coded. We're just trying to get to that like basic stuff. So you just take out whatever it was, current state minus 100, set state score, and then on machine. So when it's ready, we can actually just do the set state score, and then we can do the return super again. This we just want it to go straight back into that. Next state equals get stats. Go to next state. Next state never updates. Go to next state. Yeah, see, this is state equals current state equals state machine. That change state dot name. Right? So in theory it should just go around in circles. Let's have a look. Could be completely wrong. Ouch. Oh, look at all the debug. Signal state map created is already connected to given callable stone. One state map created in that object. What is going on? GD state controller GD9. What did I do? Did I just call return super ready on that other thing like a freaking idiot? I did. No, that's not what I want to do. Okay. Okay, it went to chase. Okay, so it's only looping through the 2. I guess I've made a typo probably. Still though, not bad. Owie. Yes, shoot cannon went to chase, but it should go to barrage. Yeah. So I'm assuming now, like if I print the state stack, and I run this again, it's just going to be like one of them has 100, the rest have 0. Very basic AI at the moment since it's just designed to loop. Oh, they all end up, okay. What's it going to do now? Shoot cannon gets, yeah, okay. They all become like way. You should just set them to 0. Doesn't really matter, but like it's going to go in the order that I want it to. And then we can add more complexity later, but like we're at that stage now. Which is pretty good, like honestly. Like it's actually pretty, like this, you know, it gets a lot more basic. Like this is a lot more contained. There's not a lot going on here. And it's not even that complex. Like, sort of like taking it back to this state of like, just go around in circle. You know what I mean? Like it's just, we've taken it back to like its most basic components. This can just be 0. We're not actually subtracting. Set it to 0. Duplicate the boss and put it in between. I don't know if that'll work, you know, because the way that this is structured is that you have an encounter, and the encounter is what's like controlling you getting trapped, and it only ever expects there to be one boss. So it can't trigger both. You know what I mean? Actually, an interesting point. Because they're being like controlled. That would be funny though. I think you would die. Double drone attack. Honestly didn't. So we've basically, all that work that we've done today puts us back into where we started from. But it's a lot cleaner. I like this a lot more. So now we just have to worry about like defining the state score. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to actually, you don't have to, like the code for the the idle was like way more like, and this, you know, it's still not that much code, but it was kind of messy. It's delete. So the other thing as well, I guess we need wait, does it have trouble flipping around? Okay. Oh no, it flipped. Yeah, no, it's okay. So I'm guessing then if I get this down to like, it's just gonna die. Like it doesn't actually ever spawn. Does it bug out if you get it to half health? No, it just dies. Yeah, the health is the other thing as well. So there's two other things when it comes to like the AI here, is that when it gets to 50% health, it's meant to spawn another enemy and go into like another mode that we haven't actually defined yet. So that's actually going to be the next step. So when we call enemy, I don't even think that anything happens here. We request invulnerability, which is, I don't even know if that's a function. That just is literally a variable. Oh, it's a signal. I don't know if it's connected. And we have to put like an amount of time on it. But it's going to need to relate to the animation. And it's going to do that. And spawn an enemy. And when you kill the enemy, it's going to unfreeze itself. So the idea is like, it's going to sort of put a barrier over it. Maybe call 2 enemies down. And then you have to kill them. And then it'll go back to its regular pattern. Which is not at all complicated. It's meant to be an easy boss. This is just to give it a little extra spice. And these enemies aren't difficult either. We could also like like it would be fun to do like a repair process. Like maybe the thing is like it's repairing itself, and the faster you kill the enemies, the better. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna do less. Like if you just stood there and didn't kill the enemies, or you like spent all the time running around, then like the guy's gonna heal back up or something like that. I think that would be fun. That would be a fun little like change. Or we actually have to define that behavior first. I don't even know what this does right now. So in the state update, we do a countdown and then we spawn the enemy. Countdown remaining minus equals delta. Countdown remaining 0. Spawn enemy dot emit. Does this actually call out to anything? Like what's going on? So we've got it all connected up. Okay. But we would need to know. So there's a couple of things when it comes to like the AI is going to need to know when the, well, if we're actually just going to disable the character until, and this needs to have a cooldown, like you can't go back into this state because right now you just keep spawning stuff. So there's a couple of things that we need to do, which is basically it needs to, you know, it goes into a standby mode. Spawns the enemy. Enemies, plural, potentially. And then also, when enemies are defeated, reactivates. Or maybe after like a set amount of time, also reactivates itself, despite the enemies not being active. Any abbreviations in code mean less hooks for unit tests. You assume I plan to do unit tests. And any potential more gotchas down the road. A game where the developer used his voice to make all the sound effects during the prototype would be interesting. Are you shipping a prototype with sounds? I do plan to, like, I've just got like basic sound, like, you know, downloaded from Kenny or whatever. Like that's literally it. So I'm just like gonna use Kenny sounds. Like this all has audio already. I just disable it because it's kind of bad. So it's all there, I think, except for the lasers. So if I all good in the digital hood. If I play this and then turn the sound back on, there's like a song Wait, I don't know if, does that come through? Security drone, run that. It does. The music changes. And it plays like a little... So like there's just some basic sounds to give you like audio cues. There's nothing when the missiles hit though. Just so like, I think it's actually pretty important for like, especially boss encounters and even just enemies when it comes to like these more difficult games. I actually do think you need to have like audio cues to let you know when to do stuff. I find that very satisfying. Like when I played Expedition 33, that game relies on you to like do a parry. Now in games where you have to do a dodge or do a parry, I pretty much always just go for the dodge because the parry is like 1 frame accuracy. But in Expedition 33, there's a very clear audio cue about when you're supposed to press it. And I found that like incredibly fun to like find out, like listening to the audio and trying to hear the pattern in the sound and be like, okay, that's the exact same point. Like it works so much better for me. And I really like that. So I think like audio design in terms of like, okay, the attack is going to happen now, I think. And then you can react to it. Acoustics implemented. Yeah, so we need to like go here, big drone, and then when he calls enemies, so this is like the parameters. So it goes into a standby mode, it spawns enemies a random amount, or no, RNG maybe 2, maybe more for the more amount of time. So it just over time it gets more difficult if you're like going slow or just like, I don't know why, because this boss is like not hard. So like we're just gonna say more. Okay, let's just go spawn enemies 2, and if we want to like go crazy and say like if there's like some kind of, you know, if this repeats itself multiple times, you added the Suno song to your game prototype, not because it needed sound, but because if you leave a game running in Godot from like F5, not on its own, it keeps Windows from sleeping, and having sound makes sure I don't forget I hear it running. Interesting. Keep it running. I mean, I would, yeah, you got to take that out before you shit, because Suno is probably like copyrighted. But yeah, I mean, what do? I have a thing. No, my computers, they do go to sleep. Well, they don't go to sleep, they just lock themselves. And if I want to keep it open, I open up Caden Live. We'll have real music long before shipping. Don't forget, everyone gets in trouble. All these AAA studios, they leave like a little thing in there. They're like, oh, it's a newspaper, but it was AI generated. And then everyone hates them for it. Okay, how are we going to do this? So we call enemy. So the state controller will need to know, like when you're at 50% health, this is when this starts happening. There's a time cooldown on this. No capes. Well, I'll have real music long. Oh wait, I read that twice. Yeah. So if we do need access to the health here, or do we do like a, is there like a health container, damage taken, health 0, max health updated? If we emit health to the invulnerable time, float direction, damage taken, health changed, if we emit this to the controller, right, we can just store that. We don't need to like check it. We don't even need to know, like we can just say, we can create a Boolean variable, drone threshold, I guess you could say. And it's a float. And it can just be equal to 0.5, like as a percentage. Maybe we do make this an export variable. We can create categories as well. So export category, states. Let's take idle out of this list. Export category, some parameters. Oh, we do need idle. Okay. Just for that one thing. Mouse. Oh, it came back. That's cool. Okay, so drone threshold, and then we get the amount on health changed. Does this emit the amount the health has changed or the amount that's remaining? Max health updated, health changed. Check health. Current health, okay. Not very specific, is it? We also don't know the max health. We can actually get that as well. And we can just go to the health, because that's something that's emitted at the runtime. So like things that need it. Max health updated. Mouse. Not working. Okay, so we set the max health and then we just say, we just go for current health divided by max health, right? Ratio, I guess it's a float, equals current health divided by max health. Hello. And then we say if ratio is less than or equal to drone threshold, then we can set a variable, probably here, drones can spawn. It's a bool. Yeah, equal to false. Okay. Now, we do need a cooldown on this. So, we probably want to set that. So if we go export bar, probably drone cooldown is equal to probably 10 seconds. That's more than enough. We'll play around with that. So basically how I want this to work is like the drone will reach this stage. It'll go into this state. It's going to spawn the drones. Once you've defeated them or it comes out of this state, the cooldown starts. And once that cooldown reaches 0, it's possible to re-enter this state. Cooldown remaining. There's a float, and it's, I guess, equal to drone cooldown. Does that work? I don't know. Okay. So, Now we do need process because we have to do a countdown on that. I guess we could use a timer. We could use a timer. Actually, it's not that serious. It doesn't have to be that accurate. On drone cooldown finished. Void drones can spawn true. Right? So here, instead of saying drones can spawn true, because this is going to be getting triggered all the time. Oh yeah, that's a good point. So after we reach this halfway point and this gets flipped, we need another bull, right? We got we say we don't need this if we're going to do a timer. Drone off cooldown. Bull equals true. So you have to have both of them be true, and then drone off cooldown just gets set true here. And so after all of this, you can say if drones can spawn and drone off cooldown, then state stack drone. What's it called? Call enemy. Okay. Now we want this to go ahead like pretty much 100%, so I'm just going to make it 200, so it's like higher than everything else. So then it has to be both of those, and then you say drone off cooldown false. And then you start the timer. You go get tree dot create timer drone cooldown dot timeout dot connect and you connect it to this, and that's the entire pattern. Okay, so now that means that you can call enemy, but there's no way for you to know so here's the thing. You go into this state. We need to go back to idle for a set state score to actually get triggered. So like we're in that now, and it's gonna spawn the drones. So that's kind of like pretty much exactly how we want it to be, but call enemy does need to, so it goes straight back to idle, which is not what we want. So actually delete that. We're gonna spawn enemy.emit. But like, what we want is there's multiple things, right? So there's other things we can call. We actually want to call hold enemy because, well, actually we don't want to call hold enemy. We do want to do hurt box monitoring, so we can't actually take damage. And then we also want to so there's a couple of things, right? So, well, there's invulnerability, right? So for the duration of this state, but like it's a variable duration. It's just like, or actually that's not true. Because I said when it's defeated or after a set amount of time, it also reacts. So, but we still need to like know when these things have been defeated, and we don't have that right now. Like we can worry about like making it look pretty, but like we need to actually get it to work. So we can spawn the enemy, which is like which is fine. This gets emitted to a drone spawn, right? So this just does the spawning of the drone. and we set the target. Why is this separate as part of code? Can it not just be a part of the cool enemy function? And then we can actually like get this clear drone add enemy defeated.emit. I guess we can signal back. It's not a big deal. Tree exited. So once it's defeated, that's certainly a way you can do it. But that's not really how I want to do it. Yeah, I reckon var max health, what is this? Oh, it's determining where it was. Yeah, I reckon we just put this within, like we just put this spawn drone thing, this whole function in the call enemy function. I think the reason I was doing that is because I wanted it to show up and be here. Like I'm making it a child of this, right? Add child, owner.add child. I mean, that's a way you can do it, I guess. But I think actually, like you just make this part of this function here, this state. It's going to be a lot easier. It's going to be really cranky. Let's organize this a little bit. Did I drink all my coffee? I still have some. Hell yeah. Global position not declared? What? Is this just a variable? Oh right, because we're in a node now. That's okay. We'll get access to like the point. In fact, it's probably easier if I want to send this off to like the actual event, like the encounter manager, and say, hey, can you spawn these for me? But I need to know when they're defeated. We'll work on that. That's all right. Do an export here. Spawn point, which is a marker. Oh, it's still not happy. Let's just comment this out so I can. Okay, so now we can just say spawn point.global position. Okay, and then it just says enemy spawned emit, air drone add. Now this is where I want to change things, right? I want to have an array of these things. So I'm going to create an array. It's an array of enemies, right? And what we're going to do is we're actually going to add these to this air drone dot append air drone add, and then this is like sort of saying like we don't need to go if not anymore. We don't need that. And also like we just create a variable rather than just go like var new air drone, because we're going to do this a little bit differently. So this is going to be like an enemy. Right. And then we just replace that variable, which is everywhere. Probably could have just automated this, but whatever. Okay, so we've got clear drone ad. So we're going to connect it to this. We haven't got that function, but we can create it. This is going to be a little bit different. Clear. Let's just call it drone defeated. Void. Defeated. Godot has global find and replace if you encounter a big refactor. Yeah. I have used it before. I was literally using it like the other day. Sometimes I just decide to do it that way. I don't know why, because it's like, I guess it doesn't feel that big. It's like, yeah, I just have to replace it in this single function here. Okay, so drone. Okay, when it's defeated, we actually need to have like an air enemy. Wait, is that a variable already exist? XKCD should automate this. Find self. Not self. New enemy. New air drone. XKCD 1319. Let's have a look. It's become more and more applicable to my life as I've grown older. Dude, I remember when this shit was peak. I spent a lot of time on this task. I should write a program automating it. Work, writing code, work on original task. Automation takes over, free time. Yes. Reality. Work, writing code, debugging, rethinking, ongoing development. No time for original task anymore. Yeah, what does the hover text say? Automating comes from the roots auto meaning self and mating meaning screwing. Classic. Does he put the dates on these? Like, this one would be old, right? 1000. Does he still make them? What are we up to? 3000. Okay, yeah, so that one was a while back. Implications of the age of the post you see when you Google error message. When you Google an error message. Okay. There's an infrastructure outage. A recent update broke something big. A new product isn't working for some users. 2 years ago, you've run into an edge case. Low, but maybe the replies can help with troubleshooting 13 years ago. You're the only person with this problem? True. Very low. Post is likely not relevant. 24 years ago? Oh god, the internet is this old now? How old is the internet? How is the internet this old? Maybe whoever posted this message has kids who can help you. Yeah, maybe. Maybe they're dead, you know. Like, Jesus. Updates every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Damn. Wait, there's no ads on this. How does this guy make money? Maybe he doesn't. Okay, drone defeated. Air enemy. Right, and then we just go, if drones append air drones, if air drones dot as value air enemy, then air drones dot erase air enemy. Okay. Naming issues here. New air drone instantiate. So we put that in. Okay, so we can spawn infinite number of drones, but we're gonna have a counter, I guess. Get rid of this. Guess it's export. At export. Var. Mount. is a float equal to 2. I guess. So when we call this function, we just go for I in mount. And we just do 2. Countdown is kind of broken. That's fine. We'll fix that in a second. Request invulnerability. And so when we enter this state, we're going to play the idles animation. That's fine. But then we're also going to call spawn drone. When we enter this state, we call spawn drone. And then it will just spawn drones. We probably need to also like emit some kind of signal for the big drone. Like I think what we do is we create a signal for this, request invulnerability. And then we'll go, rather than, because that requires a time, that's kind of annoying. We can just go and emit that signal. So disconnect that. Request just to the big drone, like just to the parent script, and we can just call like box monitoring false and false. And then we'll create another signal as well for when it's done. Signal resume vulnerability. And also this is like not right. It needs to be called invulnerability requested. It has to be in the past tense, guys. In case you didn't know. Invulnerability. Everyone says I spelled this wrong. I probably do. Time. What do we call this? Finished? Does that still all work? Disconnect that a second. Redo that. Save. Identify a request. Oh yeah, vulnerability requested. There you go. Happy. Mustafa. How's it going? How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope your day is going well. So yeah, we're going to do invulnerability finished, and we'll put that out to that. Where did I connect that to? Where'd that go? Yeah. Vulnerability requested, and then the same with finished. Once that's done, we set it to true. Easy. So when we call enemies, if that, and then we do a test. We say if air drones dot is empty, then return no finished emit. So invulnerability finished dot emit first of all, and then finished dot emit idle. Okay, so that loops back in. Easy. And then we also set a set amount of time. So if we have like a countdown, this needs to be like way longer. So we make this 5 seconds so it doesn't just automatically go back into spawning drones. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna think about the pattern of this. We'll see. Okay. Might not feel very good. So we do that, and then we bring this countdown in. So if countdown is less than or equal to 0, what we actually do is trying to implement how to slide off or get nudged off an enemy's head so they don't get stuck on his head after jumping. How did I solve that? I do have a downward slam, and I did have trouble. I kept taking damage. I can't remember. I'll have a look at it in a second though. What am I going to do? Circular collision is one method. We are finished. We are invulnerability finished. Got a bit. And we are doing a, so here's the thing. We're gonna go finish them at idle. We also, I think, want to erase the spawn, the air drone. What's it called? This goddamn name. We actually want to make that empty. Clear. Right? So the problem with signals and states is that the signal will still trigger even if you aren't in the state. So, if current state machine, do we have access to it? State? We just do something dirty here to current state dot name is equal to name just make it not equal, return. This is you know, do as I say, not as I do. That's not good code there. It should work for now. Do I really not have like access to the state machine in enemy motion? Okay. Interesting. Yeah, generally speaking, like, I don't like to use signals as a callback method in state machines because, yeah, if you're not in the current state, then the signal is still going to trigger, which is kind of annoying. Especially if you have something called like finished emit.idle. So that will just set it back to idle, which is super annoying. And you do run into issues with that. So either, you know, like as you're designing this, you think of a different way to clear this out. Or you get access to the state machine and you make sure this only triggers when the state machine is running. Or you have a different test. Well, we'll see if it breaks. Okay, so let's go back to the state controller. So we know to do this. I think that's fine. It should still work, right? I don't know. Let's find out. Maybe I'm forgetting something. Test this out. Wait, was there like a big problem? Well, let's see. Ouch. I did not react. I was like watching the health. I think it's 400. I think it has 800 health. There it goes. So it just continues on as normal. And I have 2 of these guys to fight. So that did not go as planned. Okay, here we go. Play death effect. Game state.add chart call deferred. Okay, so this is not going to work because current scene.add child. We are relying on the game state to exist. So like doing this inside of a contained scene, just testing it, doesn't work. Anyway, the state machine didn't really behave the way that we wanted to anyway. How much health does this thing have? By the way. Security drone. So it's got 700 health, so at 350 it's gonna go into this mode, but it didn't, the thing is, it didn't back out of that. So it called the enemies fine, okay, that worked, but it went straight back into, I mean, 5 seconds is not a long time, so maybe that's the problem. Maybe we make this call enemy, well, actually, let's just take out the countdown stuff for now. Let's just not do anything with that. And just see if it stays in that state or if the problem is somewhere else. So 350 is the number. I don't activate straight away. Okay, so the state machine works. Obviously, these guys break the game, but okay, so yeah, it's a timing thing. Interesting. Yeah, what's an appropriate amount of time? That's the question. Is 10 seconds too short? Or do we just make it 10 seconds for both? So if you haven't defeated them in 10 seconds, you're just going to get caught in a loop. Probably not a very good idea. Actually, just make the times way longer. Probably. So like the state controller has like a cooldown of like 30 seconds, and then the core enemy has like a this is not an exposed variable. Has a countdown of like 20. So there's like a 5-second interval. Actually, make it 15. It's half amount of time. 10 seconds seems like a really long amount of time. Okay, so what about the whole like spawning the enemies thing? What do we do? Because right now, so it's probably easier to just go to death effect. So that's actually in enemy. Yeah. We need a better structure for this. Because you could just do owner.agile.curl deferred new effect and then spawn currency. That's the same thing. It just goes to the game state. And I don't know. That works really well when you're playing the game, but not so great when you're trying to test stuff. So maybe I need to think more about how I do that. It's just the current scene doesn't exist. So I just need to like set the scene as whatever. Is your SM enum based on dictionaries? State machine enum or dictionary? Oh, it's dictionary based. Yeah. So I've got like these states here, all these different states. And basically what happens is on the ready, we put them in a dictionary and we call signal to request a state change. So each of these, like you have to manually code it, obviously. So like when a state's finished, so like chase, yeah. When it's finished doing the chase, it just goes finished emit idle, which goes back to the state machine, and the state machine changes states, which basically just checks to make sure that the state exists, and goes to it. And you can actually, there's like a locking mechanism because this is for both players and enemies. So yeah, it just checks both those, and it gives you an error if you don't find a state, and then it just goes to the current state, and so on and so forth. It's a really good system. I really like it. I've been using it for a few years now. Okay, so we're saying 5. We've changed it all to owner, so theoretically I can fight this boss now. Now, technically, I turned the hurt box off, but I didn't turn the hitbox. I mean, so like theoretically, you can't hit this guy. So he's going to spawn enemies now. So do they not activate? Why do I have to shoot them? They have detection areas. You know what it... Game state. I swear to God, man. You think you changed something? Yeah, this is a problem. We need to think of a way. Because like, I do like the ability, like You know, prior to this, I would have had to have gone and found the boss and had to save, and now I can just test it in a room. That's really good, but like then when stuff breaks because it is expecting, there's a dependency. So we have to like fix these dependencies. And I don't necessarily think just like owner.addchild is the answer. Because that feels like equally as like messy in different way. So yeah, the other thing as well, we're gonna have to like maybe create like custom ones for these, spawn them in different locations. Fucking hell. Add child on base object of null instance. Wait, owner is null? They don't have an owner because they've been spawned in. I don't have to restructure this thing. I need to add the current scene to the game state. So I need to figure out a way to do that when it doesn't exist, because it relies on like you pressing new game or load game to start with. That's the pattern. So like if you run a game, if you just run a level, like just add it as the current scene. But you don't want to do that every single time. So yeah, we'll figure that out. But I think I'm not going to end here because I got to start the rest of my day. It's 10 a.m. Bit of a long stream today, eh? 3 hours and a half. Damn. That's crazy. But yeah, we're going to restructure that and then we can hit that up. Thanks again, everyone, for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Do we have enough on Twitch for a raid? Not really. Anyway. Thanks for stopping, guys. Have a good day, guys.